Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Corey from Lion Dads. Got another video for you, but before we get started, I wanted you guys to go down to lion-dads.com. I got a link down in the description, and I want you to get my free guide on getting started with the carnivore diet. It's got everything you need in there to get going, start losing weight, ditch that dad bod today. I got a shopping list in there, everything you need to get started and get losing weight right now. Getting into the video, what I want to talk to you guys about today is something that I think is pretty important and something I've been trying to do a lot more, and it's kind of doing like a digital detox. I think a lot of us, we get to a point where, everything that we didn't have growing up, information, access, things like that, to a lot of different stuff, we have at our fingertips now. I remember being a kid when I was in high school, and we got our first PC. I think. Well, actually, I don't even think I was in high school. I think I just graduated, and we got our first PC. And always being like, I couldn't wait to get home and just sit at it and screw around on it. Whether that was researching something, getting access to music and movies or things like that, or just surfing the internet, talking to friends or whatever. That was 20-something years ago. And if you told me now that I'd have that in my pocket all day, every day, 24/7, I can look up and see anything I want at any time, watch anything, talk to anybody in the world, literally at any time I wanted to. That's exciting, right? That would be exciting as hell, but it's also a little overwhelming, the amount of, information and things like that you can have access to. And I come from an IT cybersecurity background. That was what I did before jumping over to this. And especially when social media came out, there's they break the progression of the internet or online stuff into these different phases, these different eras, right? And so the social media era hit, and it was now not only did you have access to information, but you also had the ability to just throw information out there like I'm doing here, right? And it's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing when you think about it, that anybody in the world can get online, and I can get on here and I can tell you any batshit crazy thing I believe, which I'm, there's plenty of people out there with absolutely nutty, crazy shit that they think, and I can get on here and say anything I want. Anything crazy off the top of my head, and there's somebody out there that will believe it. You know what I mean? No matter what somebody throws out there, there is somebody out there that'll believe it, and that's a highly powerful thing. And I think a lot of us get on the internet and we're looking for answers to things in our life, and we start finding this information and stuff, and you start trying things out. You start and it and on one hand it's beautiful and it's powerful and it's awesome, and on the other hand it's a little freaky, you know what I mean, because we live in kind of an information age, but we kind of live in a misinformation age too a little bit. So I just kind of want to go over why sometimes it's important to evaluate your relationship with that stuff, and why it's important maybe to step back and at least ask yourself the question, am I doing this too much? Has it taken over my life? Things like that. So the big one I want to talk about first is the social media. You know what I mean? That's the biggest one. We're all on it in some way, shape, or form. A lot of people argue that YouTube is not. I'm on YouTube almost all day, doing research and stuff like that. Not all day, but I spend some good time on YouTube, trying to learn, which I'll get into later. Well, there's a lot of people that'll argue that social media is not, or that YouTube's not a social media platform, that it's more of a search engine. It depends on how you use it. It kind of can be both. You know what I mean? I do see the validity in it being more of a search engine, because it's owned by the biggest search engine in the world, and you can go and basically look for information on YouTube, and it's probably there no matter what you're looking for. So, but the social media platforms, I think a lot of us are, we get to a point where we're on there all day and we're seeing what it's cool to see people's opinions. You know what I mean? You're seeing, you may have grown up in like me in a smaller town, where, it's very conservative type area, or it's like this kind of area, and it's like very narrow demographics and stuff. And then inside that town, you got your small circle and things like that. So you only have access to a certain amount of people's opinions, right? But then you get on social media, and I can get on there and I can go see literally what anybody's thinking on the other side of the country. You know what I mean? Somebody who I'd never have access to in my life, I'm from Arizona, let's say somebody from the farthest stretch of the country, let's say somebody from the northern tip of like Maine, right? I can go online and there might be somebody from that part of the country talking about their perspective on this one subject that I'd have never gotten, when I was a kid. My kids can't even fathom that growing up without it, right? Because, I'm like, I had, a lot of us grew up with this worldview that was limited to what we surround ourselves with, and the only other access you have outside of that is like the newspaper, the news on TV, or shows or something like that, right? And that's all different people's, opinions, just like social media is. They're different opinions or their interpretation of research or whatever it is, but you can get that from people all over literally the world. You know what I mean? Language barrier, notwithstanding. And what kind of effect does that have on you? You know what I mean? Is it overwhelming? You think about that, you know what I mean? Or sharing your, when you read stuff that you agree with, you're getting like a dopamine hit all the time, and that stuff's addictive. You're getting on there and arguing with people all the time over stupid horse shit, you know what I mean, that may not even be relevant or matter, and you may be wrong or you may be right, and this person may be wrong, they may be right. You both may be right and just have different, the subject affects two people differently, but I think that's what a trap a lot of us get into on social media is you get into a lot of engagements with people that are often negative and things like that, and it can end up, fucking your whole day up, basically. You can walk around just feeling anxiety and stress and things like that from an information overload and disagreements and negative comments and things like that, and letting that stuff affect you. And that's one big reason why I think it's important to kind of step back, because especially like we get on here and I like especially now with social media, like the last several, the elections or whatever, have been so like crazy divisive, right? Like people are always screaming at each other on the internet about Biden this, Trump that, you know what I mean? All this kind of shit. And it's like it's pointless, right? Like I'm not a political dude. I don't pay attention to any political shit. It doesn't matter. The cards are stacked against you as a regular citizen anyway. These, they're two broken wings on the same bird, right? That's the way I look at it. You can agree with me, disagree with me, I don't give a shit. But, the thing is like, it's pointless. I don't find any point in going online and bitching and arguing about who's in office. They don't have my best interest in mind. That's why I have gone out and, found a different path in life instead of, working a regular 9 to 5 anymore, because it just doesn't, I don't think the cards are stacked in my favor, and I don't think that the system is designed to serve me, and I have to go out and, find a new way. I'm going to do more videos on that for you guys, hoping that you follow the same path, because I think you all deserve it. Anyway, I digress. But that stuff, that information overload and the bitching on the internet, fighting with people, or, creating these little factions and things like that, it doesn't serve you, and it only serves to cause you more stress and anxiety and things like that. So that's one big reason I think social media, while it does have its good advantages, it does have the advantage of connecting with people and, relationship building, getting perspective and information, and reconnecting with people and all the other multitude of things. There's a hell of a lot of bad that comes with it too. So, it might be good to step back and take a break from that. As far like another thing is just the physical stress of screen time, right? That's another thing I think has been talked about quite a bit. You got the whole, the blue light, disruption that I think a lot of research has come out on, and there's a lot of blue light blocking glasses and things out there you can buy. But if you don't want to do that stuff, it's important to kind of maybe take a break and say, how much screen time am I getting? How much am I using? Like my whole day is, in my career as an IT, like cyber person, is in front of a computer all day, and then doing this, creating content and doing research to get ideas for videos, and like learning how to build a business and learning how to implement different systems and things like that, learning how to do coaching and learning how to build courses that I got coming out and things like that. It's all research that I need to do on the internet other than reading like books and stuff that I'll get into in a little bit. But that stuff all leads to eye strain. It's important to kind of step away from that stuff at night, for example, because there's a lot of research that the light from your phone, from your computer, and from a TV and things like that disrupts your sleep patterns. You know what I mean? It's harder to get to sleep when you do those kind of things. It's much better to sit and take an hour or two and read a book instead before you go to bed. Get your information that way. You know what I mean? Sitting in front of the light like this, if it's nighttime or whatever, which I'm kind of, should be taking my own advice here, because as I sit here, it's 8 o'clock at night and I'm trying to cram some video recording time in. But, I'm going to sit after this and I'm going to read a book for a little over an hour and try and kind of, get to where I can get into a good sleep pattern and get some good sleep, get away from the blue light for a little bit. So just set those boundaries, you know what I mean? And it's not important to do, not just for yourself. This is Lion Dads. This is for you guys, to build your families up along with yourselves. It starts with you, but you have to be the guiding light in your family. And, set those boundaries for them too. Hey, we're going to take a break from screen time. Take the phone away from the kids, shut the internet off, whatever you have to do, and throw a book at them. Not, don't literally chuck a book at them, but like, here you go, read this instead. Do something that serves you. Read a book, do an activity, play a board game together. Do something awesome. Sit and talk. How many of you guys just sit and talk? Like, I go into restaurants and I go to people's houses and stuff, and everybody's just on their phone all the time, and it's like there's no family time anymore. Take that time at night when it's like, okay, this is the time we need to be getting away from the screen time anyway. Cut that shit off and do something together as a family, or read, or do something else, and then get everybody to bed, and you'll see an immediate change. I'm telling you. So that's another thing you can do. Another thing you need to do is just kind of like, reevaluate your entertainment, right? Like, look, we're all human. We all have lives to live. I want to enjoy my life as much as all of you. You know what I mean? And, I think everybody deserves to have fun and do things that are enjoyable and stuff like that. But, I did kind of take some time in the last, even, before I started this channel, before, I started doing a real reevaluation of my health and, fitness and everything completely. I took like a conscious sabbatical from video games for a while. I was video gaming quite a bit as my kids were getting older and stuff. And I kind of took a sabbatical away from video game. I'm going to take a break, and I ended up never going back to it. It's been probably over 10 years now, and it's been the best thing that I ever did. I'm a huge movie. I was always a huge movie fanatic. I love horror movies. I love action movies. I love a good like comedy and shit like that. Mafia movies, all down the list, man. I'm a movie guy. I love it, and I still love movies, even though it's nothing but horse shit coming out, I think, the last several years. But that's beside the point. But I'll still sit down and watch a good movie. But it's just like I'm not gonna sit. I'm not a guy that I think is gonna sit and binge, 3 seasons of a Netflix show or an entire Netflix show or something like that, just constantly just cranking out episode after episode after episode. And hey, that if that's like part of what you do, if that's like part of your life that's really important, hey, that's what it is. You know what I mean? And some of you even may have that like it's part of your job or something like that. Like if you're doing YouTube or something like that, there's different things that different reasons you might be watching, like have to watch movies all the time. That's totally fine. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, as far as sitting and binge watching shit all the time and, just constantly just season after season of Netflix shows on Amazon Prime, you're on whatever you're on, or you're just watching like movies all the time. Like, enjoy that stuff for sure. I love movies. Like I said, I love TV shows. I'm a sucker for a good story, man. But, once in a while, you got to get outside and get some sunlight. You know what I mean? Once in a while, you want to do some activity. Go out and get out in nature a little bit. Take your dog for a walk. take your kid to the park, go for a swim, go for a bike ride, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like I said, get back to read a book, do something, you know what I mean? Get off the TV a little bit and just get out and explore the world. You never know who you might meet out there. You never know what kind of opportunity might fall in your lap on a given day, just going out and doing something. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of us, when we sit and we're just cranking out Netflix show after Netflix show, you're missing out on that kind of stuff. So that's one thing. Another thing you can kind of think about reevaluating. There's a lot of benefits, I think, to doing this, to taking these digital detoxes. And I've gone over them, plenty in here. You know what I mean? That getting away from the blue light, getting out, getting some sun, getting some of that vitamin, the nutrients from sunlight and things like that. It's so much better for your mood. It'll help your focus, help you build your relationships, and just overall give you a better mental well-being, give you some better outcomes in your life, and drop some opportunities in your lap. And then, the next thing, because you're not going to cut it out completely. Nobody's going to. Nobody's going to completely walk away from it. I know that. We don't live in a world where that's even realistic. But, the big thing I do want to encourage you guys to do is to kind of embrace content that serves you more, right? I want you to kind of reassess what you are consuming. Going back to the political thing, right? Like if you're online and you're watching nothing but fuck this candidate or this guy sucks and this politician's going to send us to war and this politician's going to destroy the economy and all that, and that's all you're watching, and you're obsessing over that shit, and you're obsessing over crime in this place and stuff that doesn't even, things that don't even affect you, or things that are completely out of your control, which most of that stuff is. You know what I mean? Why don't you start finding things that serve you a little better? Why don't you find a skill that you've always been wanting to learn, something that you've always been wanting to master, and why don't you go out and consume that? And why don't you go out and watch that? And then why don't you go out and practice it? If you've always wanted to learn how to, play guitar, like my son's doing right now. My son's been just absorbing videos on how to play guitar. He watches videos on it, and then he sits and he does it. He's been doing it for 2 weeks, and I'm blown away by, how far he's come along. It's inspired me. I'm going to try and do the same thing. It's crazy. You know what I mean? If you want to learn how to master, if your job sucks and you hate your job like I was at in life, and it's awful, and it's not awful, but you know what I mean? It's just I'm burned out and I don't want to do this shit anymore, and I'm tired of taking shit from people that, would, if I died tomorrow, they'd have my job posted before my wife had my obituary in the paper. Learn a new skill. Learn how to get out of your job. Learn how to. You've got a skill that you can practice and turn into a business. I 100% promise you that. Why don't you explore that? Why don't you start trying to figure out how to start your own business? And shit, let me know what it is. Maybe it's something I'd want to buy from you. Who knows? You know what I mean? Go find books. I'm challenging people. I want people to read more. Please start reading more. Find some books that'll help you, gain skills that you want to learn. Find podcasts. Find YouTube videos. I don't care. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're still on digital, but you're, instead of watching a bunch of bullshit, you know what I mean, political discourse or whatever it may be, or people screaming at each other or shitting on certain demographics of people or whatever it is you're watching out there, why don't you watch something that's actually you can learn from? That's my big thing. Big things like entrepreneurship, or job skill, anything related to that, fitness, relationship building. There's tons of stuff out there that you can be using the digital, space for, to actually improve yourself and serve yourself. So that's basically just what I wanted to go over with you guys. So basically what I want to do is challenge you guys. Maybe, why don't you take a weekend or a week, or if you can't do a week, do a weekend or whatever, and just say, I'm going to get off the screen for a while. I'm going to not play video games this weekend. I'm going to not get on Facebook or Twitter or X, whatever the hell it's called now. I'm going to get off YouTube, or I'm going to, instead of watching crazy conspiracy shit on YouTube all the time. I'm going to, learn how. I've got my transmission's busted in my car. I'm going to learn how to fix it with YouTube videos on that instead. Any little thing like that to kind of just shift, learn a new hobby, learn how to do something. That's what I want to kind of challenge you guys to do. I want to challenge you guys to get out there and find some kind of new approach to the digital space, whether you kind of walk away from it for a little bit or just redirect yourself to find it in a way where it actually serves you and allows you to maybe be creative or be efficient or be happy, whatever that may be. So that's basically all I got for you guys today. I want to remind you guys to go down, get that free PDF on starting a carnivore diet, ditching your dad bod, get your shopping list, get everything to get going and get started getting healthy with a carnivore diet today. And until next time, I'll catch you later. Peace.